Arguably, one of the best attack strategies for Town Hall 12 players is the Super Witch Smash. They're pretty broken since they have flexibility with their playstyle, flexibility with different siege machines, and flexibility against different bases. So I wanted to combine all this information from the army composition all the way to the mistakes that you'll make in order to help you 3-star more. So first things first, let's go through the army composition. It's pretty safe to say that the Super Witches have a standalone army. The spells are the only thing that's going to change. So if you're bringing in the use of the Flame Flinger, you're going to not bring the lightning spells, and you're going to bring more rage spells, jumps, etc., some other spells to support your Super Witches. Otherwise, you can also use the lightning spell variation, which is really good and has a bit more flexibility since you don't have to use the Flame Flinger. Now, base reading for the Super Witch Smash is pretty easy. You have two options, either the use of the Flame Flinger or the Lightning. The Flame Flinger's goal is to go in for said Multi-Inferno or Single Inferno or the Town Hall. If it's an Inferno, if it's being covered by stuff like storages or lesser zap value, that is what you should go for. You mainly want to make sure that what you're doing is just establishing one side of the funnel with the Warden Walk or the Flame Flinger or both. The other side of your funnel can be with a secondary thing, such as the King and Witches, or you can bring in the use of the Siege Barrack if you're not using the Flame. Otherwise, you just want to have that so where the Super Witches just go right through the base like it's butter. Now, of course, we can't forget about siege machines. We already talked a little bit about the Flame Flinger, but it's really good if you're able to go in for something like a Multi-Inferno that is isolated or the Town Hall, which should be a bit more offset if you're going to use it against it. So you might want to bring an Earthquake spell if there are no defenses around. Otherwise, just be very careful of Expos and Mortars and you're completely fine. Now, other siege machine options outside the Flame Flinger do include the use of the Siege Barrack. This is usually paired with Lightning, which is why I didn't mention that with the Flame Flinger. The Lightning and the Siege Barrack are really good. The Siege Barrack's main job is to funnel out buildings from the outside, which can really help your Super Witches get right through the Town Hall and right through the rest of the base. So that is one option. Of course, you've also got the Log Launcher. If you want to get value off of the base from a distance, which can work, the Super Witches with the Log Launcher can work really well. This means that you can bring in maybe one jump spell and use the rest of the spells to support your Super Witches and push them through, such as Rage or, I guess jokingly, Haste. Now, the Super Witch Smash has a lot of parts to it, but we're going to combine multiple of these parts since they actually flow really well together. So first things first, you're going to start with your lightning spells and the Warden Walk. This is if you're using the Zapquake method. This is a really strong option, which is honestly the best version of it. You're going to use the Warden Walk, and then you're going to use the lightning spells to speed up the Warden Walk by using an Earthquake and 4 lightning on a multi or single Inferno. The idea here is creating an internal funnel is really good for the Super Witches, and it speeds up the Warden Walk significantly. So you'll want to make sure that what you're doing is also using other smaller troops such as baby dragons and balloons that will help kind of speed up your funneling a little bit, and it makes it so much better for the rest of your attack, as you want to make sure that the Warden Walk is going in the right direction so he doesn't wander, but also you're able to remove an entire side and then lure him over with the Super Witches. Now, the next phase of your attack is pretty much the Super Witches and your secondary funnel. You're going to be using a Super Witch to lure him over, the Grand Warden, so that way the Super Witches alongside the Queen can start working their way in. Typically, in this case, I would also recommend using your Barbarian King and Siege Barrack. This is your secondary funnel, and you want to make sure that your Super Witches are going towards the Town Hall. So a Rage spell early on is really good, and you can also use a Grand Warden ability a little bit earlier on than others, since realistically, they don't actually need the Warden ability to stay alive. You really just want to make sure that what you're doing is you are using Rage spells in order to help move everything through. The Super Witches just do an insane amount of damage. Sometimes you might unfortunately have the Super Witches split, but that's completely fine and it's all good. As long as you're raging up the Super Witches that you have currently, you're going to be able to continue to push them through the base. But as long as you have a majority of the Super Witches still remaining up, thanks to either having healers or rage spells, they're going to work incredibly well. Having Hog Riders on the back end is kind of like having a Royal Champion, despite not having, an ability like the Seeking Shield. It's still going to help you get through, and of course, you're going to be able to 3-star more often than not with this strategy. You can always try the Flame Flinger version, as it is really good, and of course, having the use of the lightning spells is a really nice version too. It's just really good to have a standalone army that's really flexible with different spell usages and against different bases, so you know how to hit it. Now, one of the most obvious mistakes that you will make with the Super Witch Smash is the Warden Walk going way too long. This is why the Flame Flinger and the Lightning are honestly two of the best siege machines for this, mostly because it allows you to speed up your Warden Walk. The Warden Walk is an incredibly tedious process, and if you are time filling, it's probably right there. You're spending too much time getting the value from the Warden Walk and not enough time actually funneling out, then having time for the smash, because the Super Witches are really slow. Now, that was a lot for a broken strategy like Super Witches, so I want to give you some gameplay of this to show you exactly how this works, but this time with the Flame Flinger. Honestly, similar to the Super Bowlers and the Electro Titans, these troops are really good, specifically because they are the all-in-one package. Healers only need to be on them, they have a high amount of HP, high amount of damage, and of course, they spawn their own support troops. So it's a really, really good troop, and of course, this is really one of the most broken strategies at Town Hall 12.